All right, back with another tier list. This one a little bit different though. This one is not going to be the teams and how I'm viewing them right now. I figure midway through the season, how do I feel about each team's starting quarterback? I thought that this could be a fun exercise. So this is the starting quarterback tier rankings. We're just using the logos to make things easier. For me, I don't have to set up a whole new one with the quarterbacks right now. But each team's starting quarterback, starting off with Taylor Heineke, who I don't hate, but it's got to be D tier. I mean, listen, he's the kind of guy where every now and then he'll show flashes to like S tier. He's just not there consistently enough for me. So again, they made a quarterback change. Definitely D tier as it stands. Lamar, I think I got to put him in S tier. I do. I think he's having that kind of year. He's been an MVP caliber player. The stats, the bulk stats haven't been quite as impressive this year, but that's okay. They're winning football games because of him. And not just because of him. Their defense is great. A lot of stuff is great, but he's a huge part of it. I'll put him in S tier for now. And Josh Allen, I still have in S tier, despite the fact that I have criticized him. I think in large part, the offense is dependent on him. And if you remove him, I don't know if the Bills are, I don't think the Bills are a playoff team, but with him, you're still thinking, well, maybe they could win a Super Bowl just because of how good he is. So, Josh Allen, public perception has turned on him. I still think he is very good. Bryce Young, it's a right now list. Right now, he's still D tier. Rookie quarterback, you don't expect them to come in and play great. He hasn't played great. The Bears, so I'm going to go with Justin Fields because, he's going to be back at some point. The Tyson Badgett thing is fun. I'll put him in C tier. I don't think Justin Fields is a complete disaster. I just don't think he's that good. So, C tier is where I feel comfortable having him. You also have the Bengals, Joe Burrow. I am going to put in S tier. That feels like an obvious one. And for the Browns, Deshaun Watson, I think for now C tier is where I'm at. Just because, it hasn't looked great this year. It hasn't. And, you were hoping, kind of banking on him taking the next step, and it hasn't really worked out. He has been so injured, though. I think there is potential for him to get better. So I'm not giving up on him, but just for right now, that is where I have him. Dak Prescott is a quarterback who, again, I'm sure Cowboys fans would have him in S tier. I have him in B tier. I think he's a good quarterback. I think that there's a lot to like about him. And on occasions, he'll look like an S-tier quarterback, right? It's just not consistent enough. He's pretty consistently been the top, 12 to 15 quarterback, I feel like, these past couple years. So for me, that's a B-tier quarterback. Russell Wilson, I think I'm also going to put him in B tier. I think he's lower B tier than Prescott. I think, B tier is going to be a pretty big tier. And so I am going to, I don't think they're the same. Do think Prescott is the better quarterback between the two, but I think Russell Wilson's looked good this year. I do. I think he's looked like a solid player. Hasn't been a $50 million quarterback, obviously, but I think he's looked better. And Jared Goff, I also have in the B tier category. I know people want, Lions fans want Jared Goff to be in a higher tier. He started off so hot, did have a couple of, had really the one down game against Baltimore. He's good. If you put him in a good offense, he looks good. If you put him in a bad offense, he looks bad. He's in a good offense. He's in a great offense, so he looks great. That's just kind of how I view Jared Goff. I feel like we know who he is at this point, which is a valuable quarterback. The Packers are next on the list. Again, right now, I can't put Jordan Love above D tier. He shows some flashes. He does show some flashes, but you can't win with this right now. You need him to play better, and he currently, is playing good. But that's all he's doing. I mean, he's not playing good. He's playing good in moments, but not consistently. CJ Stroud is playing good. CJ Stroud, I'm going to put in A tier. Hype gets very exciting. There still are some examples of him missing throws and things like that. And it's still just, he's so young. It's hard to put him in S tier when we're just seeing him play. But I'll put him in A tier right now. Yeah, he's been that good. As a rookie, that's insane. So definitely impressive there. For the Colts, I don't know if we're going Richardson or Minshew. I think Minshew is still, I'll put him in C tier. I think probably either way, Richardson or Minshew, I'm putting them in C tier, so it works out. It hasn't been a disaster, and not to say that if you're in D tier, it's just a disaster, but there's things to like about Minshew, and there's things to like about Richardson, but just not enough of them to bump him up a tier. The Jaguars with Lawrence, I think he's been good this year. I'm willing to put him in A tier. I've been someone who is a little slower in giving Lawrence flowers than I think most. People are already ready to call him the next, great thing. I've been kind of like, We have to see it first. And well, I don't think he's quite been on the level of like a Joe Burrow or a Josh Allen or a Patrick Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson. I still think he's been very good. I think that A tier feels right for me right now. Mahomes, I mean, it's just a tough one, right? To put him in S. No, obviously he's S tier. It kind of goes without saying. Really, if I'm being honest, if I made these tiers myself, I might have added a tier just for Patrick Mahomes. I really do feel like this feels more accurate, having him in a tier of his own. But, I think he's that good. But for now, he is in the highest tier. Herbert hasn't had his best year. No getting around it. I'm still going to put him in A tier. I still am. I still think there's a lot of really good stuff with his game. And, hasn't had the best situation around him. They are still 500, though, so you got to give him credit for that. Stafford, B tier is kind of where I feel like his career has been. He's a good quarterback, but unlike, guys like Prescott and Goff, he's actually gotten hot in the playoffs and gone on a run where he won a Super Bowl, right? So that's kind of the difference. And, again, I feel because of that, you might take him over some of the other guys, but typically in a given regular season, he's going to get you what those guys get you, in my opinion. Aiden O'Connell had a good first week, but again, he's still a completely unproven guy. I got to put him in D tier for now. It's not saying that I don't think he can grow as a player, but I'm not going to give a late draft pick a ton of flowers for blowing out the Giants. That's how I view it right now. So that's where I have him. But again, interested in seeing where his career could go. He can get better. Tua, I know Dolphins fans want S tier. I can't do it. I got to put him in A tier. Listen, I like Tua. Tua's a good quarterback. I don't think he's as good as Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. I just don't. I think he is a tier below, but just one tier below. A lot of stuff he does really well. I think in many ways he gets too much credit, and I think in more ways he doesn't get enough credit, because I feel like some of the stuff he does is really incredible for the Miami Dolphins offense. He is, I believe, leading the league in passer ratings. So, I have him in A tier. I think he's very good. Josh Dobbs, I don't know, maybe this is an overreaction. I'll bump him up to C tier. Why not? He's looked good this season. It hasn't been consistent. I wouldn't say he's looked great, but he's shown flashes. He's shown his moments. And come on, I got to put him in C tier. Why not? Mac Jones is D tier. He's had some moments too, but not a ton. I don't like him as much as Josh Dobbs, because Josh Dobbs is likable. So no disrespect to Mac Jones, but I'm probably being a little, just giving Josh Dobbs some credit because it's fun. Mac Jones is, it hasn't been a good year for him. It just hasn't. Turns out Matt Patricia wasn't all of the issues. Who would have thought? Derek Carr, I'm going to put him in B tier. I know you could argue C tier with some of these games. I think they figured it out. I think he's looking good out there. I'm willing to give him B tier. The Giants, I'll use Daniel Jones because that's just the more interesting discussion to be had. I felt this way for pretty much forever, for years now. There was a while when I was higher on Daniel Jones than Giants fans, if you can believe it. But I pretty much always had him in tier 4, or in this case, C tier. That's kind of always how I've viewed him, as he's not a garbage quarterback. Calling him a garbage quarterback is just not fair. There is some value in Daniel Jones, but that's it. There's some value in him. He's a good enough quarterback that you can make the playoffs if you're not paying him. That's how he is as a quarterback, and they paid him $40 million. The contract's the issue, not the player, in my opinion. The Jets, so Zach Wilson is D tier. Do I go with Aaron Rodgers and put him, if it's Aaron Rodgers, due to the injury questions, I think I'm going to keep it in A tier just because, I'm not fully sure. But that's where I'm going to, where they're going. But that's where I'm going to go with that. So at D tier for Wilson, A tier for Rodgers. Next up, we have the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts, who I can go back and forth between A and S tier. I really can. I think for now, I will give him A tier. I believe that's what I had him as a top 5 quarterback heading into the season, which I believe it wasn't exactly these 5, because I think Lamar has now been bumped up. I forget who I dropped down. I think maybe Rodgers was the one who I dropped down a little bit, just because now I'm concerned about his injury, his health, and everything. But yeah, I think S tier feels right. Plus now it's all perfectly symmetrical. 5 teams on each tier. That's fun for me. Kenny Pickett is C tier. I don't think he's been quite as bad as some people make him out to be, but it hasn't been a great year. Has started to look better. You hope that he can, move up in the world, but for now, that's where I have him. And for Geno Smith, I easily had him in A tier entering this season. He was an A tier quarterback last season. Hasn't been his best year. He's dropped down a tier to B tier. There's still the flashes of A tier Geno Smith, but I need more than just flashes right now. And for Brock Purdy, I'm keeping him in B tier as well. I feel like he's, again, one of those, like, I think he's that Jared Goff, Derek Carr caliber of, like, he's going to, run the offense that he can run. And he's younger than those guys, so he has room to grow. And I don't think he's quite as good as those guys as of right now, in my opinion. But still a lot to like about him. I know past few weeks haven't been great, but, still plenty to like about him. Baker Mayfield, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of in between B and C tier. You know what? After last week, I'll put it in B tier. Maybe this is no, this is too high. I'm getting too excited. He's C tier. The downs have been there. There have been some rough moments for Baker Mayfield, but there have been some high highs as well. I mean, again, last week, he should have won him that football game. I mean, him being able to do what he did was great. I would say so far, he's worked in Tampa Bay. He has. He hasn't been the main issue. He's had some down moments for sure. He's not a great quarterback, but again, C tier feels fine. They're not paying him anything. It's a good contract. No issues there. Tampa Bay has bigger issues than Mayfield, in my opinion. Although, again, one of the ways you can fix a lot of your issues is get a great quarterback. So we'll see how that goes. Will Levis, I don't know. I guess I'll give him C tier. I guess that feels fair, right? He is a starter now. I think Ryan Tannehill would have been, last year would have been B tier, but he's taken, dropped down a step. So with Levis, had that great week 1 where I thought he was legitimately great. He wasn't just hitting open guys. Week 2 was, I thought, still solid. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Sam Howell's looked good. I'll give Sam Howell B tier. Yeah, Sam Howell's looked good. Up and down for sure, but as a whole looked good. And then Kyler Murray, I am also going to be giving, he's a tough one, actually. I think I'm going to put him in B tier right now. It's just like, it's hard to know exactly what to make of him. Because just like as a whole, I mean, what do we do with Kyler Murray? I mean, we haven't seen him in so long, and he was kind of, again, he was an MVP candidate not too long ago. Like, it wasn't that long ago that we were talking about him potentially winning MVP. Things have gone way off the rails, and I don't know what to make of him right now. We just haven't seen him play, and we'll get to see him play soon, so looking forward to all of that. But yeah, those are my quarterback tier rankings. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.